if any office, in any home, because I have seen some people, although I grown and brought up in very advanced and open-minded family culture, but I have seen my some of friends and other people, they are still very conservative. They thought women, she don't have right to raise a voice and give her opinion in the office, in the home, and very crucial issue. They thought she's dumb. She's just for like household work. But I disagree with, because I have seen in my family, my mom, my sister, they always raise the voice in very strong way. So I have seen that strong women in my house. So I want your opinion on this very important topic. Let's start, Marion.
Yeah, it's listening to you, Raj. I think you're right, and I'm just reflecting here on some of the experiences that I've seen, heard, and even experienced myself. Like being in a very business-driven environment, especially with big corporations, and I've seen meetings where women were like sitting very quietly, and they didn't get an opportunity to be speaking up or to really participate in the conversation, although they would have had so much valuable insight. Because as women, oftentimes we can connect the dots, we can think outside the box of what is being discussed. And just even thinking back to an example, like when I was very early on, I had the opposite experience, actually, where the men were encouraging me to speak up, because I didn't feel like my voice was as valuable as these senior men. And that came out of, my upbringing and the environment and everything. But at the same time, I have seen the opposite, where women were sitting there and holding back what they could have brought to the table. And I think that is something that, particularly when we are part of those kinds of conversations or meetings, in this case in the corporate world, that we need to encourage and bring women into the conversation and really make it a two-way street versus the silent observer, right? I call it. We're not having an impact. We're not making a difference if we're just sitting there and silently observing.
And I'm wondering, when the heck and where the heck did this begin? This element of not respecting the opinions of others, whether it's in the home, like historically, when did that begin? When did we give away our power? And I believe it was, it happened in some countries, right, where women were always suppressed and they were told to stay in the home, raise your children, and that's it, But it really comes down to, if we are not listening to the opinions of others, of other women, of women, then we are not valuing their opinions. You see? And so when did that begin? My goodness, especially when we think about the attributes that women have that make us very powerful and make us equal team members when we're sitting at the boardroom table.
So let's talk about like what we can do, because, as I am hearing both of you and reflecting on the experiences that I've had, I feel that at times that is like outright disrespectful behavior, right? Because if our opinions are not valued, if our input and insight is not valued, then why are we there? And I think oftentimes we are finding ourselves like in this victim role, right? And we perhaps need to think about like, how can we take on control? And are those the people, or particularly, of course, every situation is different, but oftentimes we can decide who we are working with, or what environments or what kind of situations we expose ourselves to, and which ones perhaps would be better to be ended. Because if somebody doesn't respect our time, our opinions, and our insights, then why are we there?
Well, the first solution, I think, is to find our voice and make it into a powerful voice. But you know what? That applies to both men and women. I was just thinking about a gentleman last night who was in our class. He's a coach and a wonderful coach. However, until he was coached on finding his voice, he would sit back and, he wouldn't give his opinions very much or whatever. And I've seen that with both men and women. If you want to make a difference, you have to find your voice and powerfully bring it forward. Let people know who you are, what you do, and because otherwise, the women and the men, but we're talking about women right now, are just going to sit back and cower. And so they need to value their opinions first before anybody else will value them. They need to value their own opinions and their own characteristics, right? Yeah.
Self-worth.
Self-love. Yes.
And when I was in school also, so when I went I have some incident when I went to some friend house. So I have seen his father grew very badly to her mom. So I immediately raised my voice to my friend. Why he's treating this way? I will not come to your house, because that time I don't like this way. Your father is treating your mother, and you are not taking any action, and you are listening in the room and you lock the door. This is not the way. And I disconnect these people also in my circle, because initially days, because I didn't see this happen in my house, so my eyes and my mind never tolerate this wrong behavior.
Tolerating the behavior, that's another really good, not tolerating this behavior, I think sets the record straight, and it's another really good point, Raj.
And whenever my female friends also in the school, college, they raise concern, my brother is very dominating, so I always say, never tolerate. This is your life, you live your way. Because reason behind, I said, your brother, whatever time he went, gone out, whatever clothes he want to wear, and he's suppressing you wear this thing, that thing, he don't have right to guide you and dictate you. I always raise these things in my, in school and college, women always close to me, always and always. They become very close friends, great friends.
So I think in summary, what we're saying here is that in order for women's opinions to be honored and valued, that we need to stick up for those women, but we need to teach them how to find their voice and very powerfully speak their voice so that they can make a change in their own lives and in the lives of others.
Yes.
It has to start there, that self-worth, that self-love, right? Yeah.
And have the courage to stand for something.
Yeah.
Even if that means that you're not tolerating certain behaviors. Because I believe that as soon as we stand up for ourselves or for what we believe, even if it's someone else, like in Raj's case, that's when real change happens.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Thank you.
Thank
Can anybody out there hear me? Hear me?